And so Addy and Paul, they come from a humble background of the families, middle class families, working class families. And so they realize that they have a voice here and they have the responsibility to raise that voice.
Addy is very powerful and she takes initiative. Not only will she hear about something and say, okay, now I know it, it's now I know it, now what can I do about it?
Addy, back in 2011, she ended up getting breast cancer.
She had to have chemo, and she had to have radiation, and she had to have surgery. And she said, how could it be that the mammogram didn't show? I'm getting mammograms every year. So she went back to the radiologists, who are extremely competent and were doing state-of-the-art work, and she said, you know, you really ought to tell your patient if they have dense breasts, it's not sensitive. The mammogram is not very good. Oh, we can't do that. It will make everybody extremely anxious. And besides, what can we do? I mean, all we have is mammography. That's really the only thing we have. She didn't like that answer. She went to Raleigh, she lobbied. 2 years later, the legislature in North Carolina passed a law, the breast density law. After that law, every mammographer in North Carolina, every time they have a mammogram, have to state what the density is, and that it means if it's dense, it's not very sensitive.
Because of that, you know, my mother, you know, recently, she just got a mammogram and she's getting more diagnoses done because of that law that Addy supported and passed. So all that to say is that Addy really cares about the community.
The effect of that on patients is incalculable. I cannot tell you how many patients will have had their cancers found when they're smaller, when they don't need chemo, when they need less surgery, maybe not even radiation. So this is just great.
When they see bigotry, when they see that there is no fair treatment to some populations, they take action.
Paul influenced and orchestrated an apology to Dr. Alvin Blunt, who was one of the plaintiffs in the Simpkins versus Moses Cone hospital case. And that really let me understand that Cone Health was serious about inclusion and diversity and equity.
That was inclusion. That was including everybody in the community and letting them know that this was the past and that the health system was acknowledging the past, apologizing for it, couldn't fix it, but wanted to let folks know that a change was going to take place.
He touched a community that had a wound that really we thought was healed, but hadn't been healed, and this actually helped a lot.
When they see an issue that is affecting the immigrant community, they will dig a little more farther and find the facts and try to find solutions.
It was this issue, once again, of education that she got heavily involved with. And ever since then, you know, we've been at this fight for many, many years, and we've introduced legislation at the North Carolina General Assembly for in-state tuition for many, many years. It's been over a decade, probably 2 now. And for Addy, this is a fight that's going to keep going until it is solved.
I think what really motivates Addy is seeing other people like her succeed, really acknowledging that it's not going to take one person in the Latino community to fix all the problems, but creating a community of people who are empowered to do that.
Paul is not in your face. He has a personality that's very warm. He's approachable. He listens. And then he's a great team builder in terms of bringing people together to solve problems.
Getting representative populations involved in the discussions that take place within health system, that's inclusion, and that's what Paul was about in trying to increase diversity and inclusion. You don't just want someone at the table, you want them to feel part of the discussion and to have an impact. And that was Paul's role at Cone Health. And he did that very effectively.
He does this naturally. Nobody had to make him an inclusion officer for him to be an inclusion officer. He has been an inclusion officer for the last 20 years. He just didn't have the title.
I often think about where do I see myself in the next couple of years? And as long as it's somewhere in the vicinity of what Addy does, I'm okay with that.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Paul Anthony Jeffrey y yo soy hijo de inmigrantes de la isla de San Martín, Santa Cruz, y fui nacido en la isla de Puerto Rico.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Addy Jeffrey y soy hija de inmigrantes de la isla de Cuba y yo fui nacida en Nueva York, en los Estados Unidos.
We are deeply grateful for this distinguished recognition from NCCJ. We want to thank Ivan and the Board of Directors of NCCJ and the community members that took the time to think of us and nominate us for this special recognition.
It's a full circle moment for us because we remember when we first moved to Greensboro that Linda Sloan was one of the first people that made us feel welcome in this community. So it's especially touching for us. In 2004, when Paul was going through the interview process with Cone Health, one of the folks asked him if he had any concerns or any hesitations if he was asked to join the Cone leadership team. And he shared something that was of a personal nature. We were concerned about moving from a big city like Miami to a smaller city like Greensboro because we have 3 children, but specifically our son, Paulie, is differently abled. That he go and visit and tour a public school called Gateway Education Center. And I'll never forget, he called me on his way to the airport and said, you know what, even if I don't get the job, we're moving to Greensboro because he thought it was the most magnificent place that our son could ever be at.
NCCJ is an organization that is very close to our heart. We have each volunteered over the years in many ways because we believe in NCCJ's mission. For many years, I served on the board of directors, and Addy volunteered to spend a week in the mountains and served as a counselor at Anytown. Our eldest daughter also had the opportunity to attend Anytown when she was a senior in high school. She came back a different person after attending Anytown.
The issues that Paul and I have worked on together and also separately have been at times difficult, time-consuming, mentally draining, mind-boggling, and everything in between. But they're issues that are important to us. A while back, a very close friend of ours, Whitney Vanderwerf, shared this quote from Václav Havel. The quote is, "Hope is an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed. It's not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense regardless of how it turns out. It is also this hope that gives us the strength to live and continually try new things."
So again, it is with much gratitude and humbleness that we accept this distinguished award. It is an honor to know we are being recognized together with Linda and Tom Sloan and having the knowledge of all those who were recognized in the past 55 years.
So we hope that everyone here tonight and so many of our friends and family that we hope are watching at home will take the time to support NCCJ's work so it can continue far into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.